Hello and welcome to another edition of Thick Slices and Deep Cuts. Today we'll be ranking the albums of the band HAKEN, a band I really have been enjoying since they first hit the scene about 10 years ago. To this point they have released 6 full lengths and an EP. Here's the EP I have on vinyl called Restoration. And they also have a live album, and I was able, fortunately, to see them live at Del Mar Hall at the end of 2017. I was right there too, because this is a band from England, and they're not that well known, especially here in the St. Louis area. So at Del Mar Hall, there were probably 200 people, but I was able to walk all the way up to the front. They put on a heck of a show. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If you like Dream Theater, you're going to like HAKEN, and I think HAKEN is, at this point, has surpassed Dream Theater. Not to take anything away from Dream Theater, what they have done in the 90s and early 2000s was incredible, but I think they've passed the torch on, and HAKEN is running with it. So I'm going to rank the 6 albums, and I just want to say that even if I rank something 6th, does not mean I don't thoroughly enjoy the album. I think every album they have released has just been awesome. If they were to get grades, they would be a straight A. They're a straight A band. Everything they put out is great. So we'll just get to it. So and again, I hate, I wanted to rank this band mainly just to talk about them, but I don't want to rank these albums in a way that slights them, because I'm looking at my number 6, and I love my number 6. I love my number 5 here. So, but we'll get started. At number 6, and by no means a bad album, and it kind of looks like my shirt, but it's their first album, their debut from 2010. It's called Aquarius. Very cool album cover. Thus the shirt, which I got at the show. But this is their first album. This is very, it's Dream Theater Junior. There's a theme of water and floods. You've got streams, aquarium, eternal rain, drowning in the flood, and then sun and celestial elixir. The opening track, The Point of No Return. Just incredible how they made their mark right out of the gate. You'd never heard of the band, and then suddenly they released their first album, and it's over 70 minutes long, and it's just chock full of just incredible progressive metal. And it's got all those trademarks that you love right out of the gate. They've got the quirkiness with the keyboards, kind of like a la, so Diego, their keyboard player, he's kind of like a little Jordan Rudess, so he's got all those quirky little sounds that he throws in. They've got somewhat of a sense of humor on here, but the melodies are just powerful. I don't know what the best song on here is. I guess Aquarium is pretty great. There's a theme. There are themes that run throughout the song, so it's kind of like it's a concept album. So it's very much in the vein of Scenes from a Memory from Dream Theater. If you like that, this is very much like that. It's very good. It's very melodic, but it's total progressive metal. But this is an incredible starting point. So at number 6, I can't believe I'm ranking it 6th. And this order is subject to change at any time. But at number 6 is their debut from 2010, Aquarius. Okay, at number 5, and again, this album is great. This is their third album from 2013. It's called The Mountain. Their first 2 albums were kind of similar in sound. Their third album, they changed their logo. This came out in 2014, so they're in this little era of the band. It's still completely HAKEN. They changed their guitar tone a little bit, like the way they're approaching in the production aspect with the drums and guitars. It sounds a little bit different. They're definitely going for, there's a lot of Gentle Giant from the 70s, a lot of that kind of thing going on here. The song Cockroach King is great. It's quirky. In Memoriam is an incredible song. Just the opening piano will let you know it's going to be a good one. Falling Back to Earth, Periodolia. Again, I dig this album. I think the only reason I'm ranking it 5th is there are a couple of songs on here that I don't not like. They just don't do a ton for me, like Atlas Stone, As Death Embraces. Those are kind of mellower or more happier sounding songs. But I just think this album's great too, and they're starting to use, I'm sure they were using 7 strings on the first 2 albums, but they're definitely starting to use more down tuning on this album as well. So this is another excellent album. I'm ranking it 5th out of 6, but it's a great album. So 2013's The Mountain. Okay, coming in at number 4 from 2018, Vector. This is part of a concept that spans more than just this album. So another concept album that goes beyond just this one. Again, I don't know why I'm ranking it 4th. At this point, they're using 8-string guitars. This is straight up heavy. There's a bit of djent going on. I mean, I guess you can still make the Dream Theater comparison at this point, although I think at this point, HAKEN's pretty much figured out what they want to do. So they've really established themselves. You know, I think, you know, The Good Doctor is they usually open with a nice, catchy one that's not too menacing. But then you get Puzzle Box, probably my favorite track on here, the big epic 12 minutes, I think, Veil. And then the instrumental Nil by Mouth. I might actually like the instrumental the best, but I mean, you've got great tracks here all the way through. Host is a good mellow one. A Cell Divides is a great one. So this has 7 tracks. I don't even know why I'm ranking it 4th. It's one of their best albums, but I guess, you know, the other albums are very long, 70 minutes. The Mountain was shorter at over an hour. This one's only 44 minutes, but I think that's fine. I think if you're giving somebody 40 minutes of awesome material that's that dense and busy, and they give a lot of moods. They give more of an upbeat one to start the album. You've got super heavy djent on here. You've got moody, jazzier stuff, and everything in between, some epics. So, big fan of Vector from 2018 at number 4. At number 3, the one that just came out last month, and the continuation to Vector is Virus. You know, I've listened to this a lot over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, I guess it came out about, I guess it's only been a month or so, but I'm ranking it 3rd, but it's my favorite album to listen to right now. The song Prosthetic, and watch the video for it. That song just absolutely rips. Has everything contained in that one song that you love about the band. Just heavy, technical, 8 strings, catchy hooks, you know, just the whole 9 yards. Prosthetic goes into Invasion, which is another good one. Carousel is incredible. I think that one clocks in at over 10 minutes. That Carousel is incredible. That goes everywhere. So if you like a song that just goes on an adventure, that one's great. The Strain is great. Canary Yellow, a little mellower, but that one's excellent. And then track 6, which is broken into 5 parts. It's called Messiah Complex. That might be the best track on here. It's certainly the most extremely bizarre, experimental, technical, just they just throw everything but the kitchen sink at you in this song. And then it finishes with a really mellow 2-minute outro called Only Stars. And this version has the instrumental mixes on disc too, just as Vector does. So, you know, what am I ranking this 3rd? This might be their best thing. It's just incredible. The fact that they're 10 years in to their career and they're on album number 6 and their trajectory is still going, you know, they just, every time they put out an album, they're just crushing it. So, one of my favorite bands, and I'm just so impressed that they put out I was just so impressed with their debut album and how thoroughly, you know, detailed and excellent it was, and then they just since then they just keep following up with things that just always impress. They're just constantly getting better. So, but at number 3, we got the brand new one, Virus. My number 2, I kind of had it as a 1. I kind of flip-flopped back and forth because I'm not really set on any of this list. It's just an excuse to talk about the band HAKEN and talk about every single one of their albums. But at number 2, I have their second album from 2011 called Visions. I thought Aquarius was incredible. This is in that vein, but this just steps it up. It just seems like it's Aquarius, but even more. It's even heavier. The songwriting's even better. It's more melodic, but it's more technical, but it's darker in ways. And every song on here, Premonition is a big instrumental to open it that fades right into Nocturnal Conspiracy, which is great. Insomnia is awesome. Shapeshifter, Deathless is incredible. You finish it with, I think, Visions. The song is like 22 plus minutes. I absolutely love this album. Again, I'm ranking it 2, but I remember when this came out, this was what I was, just eating this album up for, I don't know, a year and a half or so. So HAKEN, Visions, their second album from 2011, when they're still, you can tell by their logo, just like the first album, they're still in that sort of that Dream Theater Junior sort of phase, but there's nothing shabby about any of this. And over time, they've just kind of developed their sound to the point where HAKEN are HAKEN. They don't need to be compared to Dream Theater at this point anymore, other than that they're that classic progressive metal band. So Visions at number 2 from 2011. And then my top pick, I picked this because 1, I love the album, and 2, the songs that I love on here are my favorite songs by the band to this day, and also because I saw them on this tour. Probably has a little bit to do with it, but it's 2016's Affinity. And I love that album cover and the logo. They basically took the Atari cartridge. That's the Atari font. They took the Atari cartridge theme and they put it on their album. And on the back, you've got that DOS-looking screen. They've got a song called 1985, which is one of my favorite songs from them. And I think that kind of drove the theme for Affinity. But, you've got Initiate. They got a video for that. That's a good one. Then, 1985. What an incredible track. There's a part in the middle that sounds like the montage music from, I think it was Rocky 3. Whatever one where he's like in Siberia training for a fight with somebody. I think it was Rocky 3, but man, they do a really cool play on cheesy 80s music, but they're cheesy to a T so well that you gotta love it. Lapse is a cool, moody one. I think they've got like a little bit of the sound of this band I like called Leprous. That's a total contemporary of theirs. Then The Architect is this massive, super teched out song that goes all over the place. Speaking of Leprous, the vocalist for Leprous provides some death metal growls towards the end of this track. Then it goes into Earthrise, which is another cool, just melodic and moody stuff. And Red Giant's a great one. Red Giant's another favorite of mine. So this has, and then it finishes with The Endless Knot, and then a long mellow one called Bound by Gravity. 1985, Lapse, The Architect, and Red Giant are 4 of my favorite songs from them. So that's usually when you're trying to figure out what's your favorite album by a band. I'm just like, well, the songs that I really like on this album. So my number 1 album so far, and this could change, but I think my number 1 album as we sit here today is this classic Atari looking one from 2016. This was their 4th album, Affinity. And this is where they had already started developing their own unique sound on The Mountain, their 3rd album, but by here they change again enough, and they've just differentiated themselves from everyone at this point. I think they're probably using 8 strings here and there by this point. I know they're using them on Vector and Virus for sure. But, so, number 1, 2016's Affinity. So just quickly to re-rank them, and again, forget the ranking, just check out all these albums. And if you want to start anywhere, you can start in any of these 6 albums. But number 6, I got their debut from 2010, Aquarius. At number 5, I've got their 3rd album from 2013, The Mountain. At 4, I've got their 5th album from 2018, Vector. At 3, I have the one that just came out here in 2020, Virus. At number 2, I have their 2nd album from 2011 called Visions. And at number 1, I have from 2016, their 4th album, Affinity. And I think I mentioned They had this EP from 2014. This is when their current bass player Connor Green joined the band. I think that's the only lineup change they've had since Aquarius. It's just that they switched bass players midway through their career here. And it's called Restoration. There's a song on here called Earthlings that's one of my favorites. And there's a sidelong track on here called Crystallized. And Mike Portnoy hits a gong on it just so he can say he was on the album, but it's pretty cool. So I think this is worth checking out. I got it on vinyl just because it's got that good EP 32-minute length that I love, so it's got a sidelong track. Right there, I'm sold on it for vinyl. And if you get the vinyl and it was cheap through Laser's Edge, they give you a CD. There's a CD in here, so it's definitely worth checking out. And then, last but not least, if you can get live, when did this come out? 2018. Live, it's got, 2 CDs, 2 DVDs. So it's live in Amsterdam, Netherlands, off the Affinity tour. Kind of see it. Covers are somewhat similar. They're playing a lot of stuff from Affinity and The Mountain, but they also play what they call the Aqua Medley. So they take all the best parts of Aquarius and they do one big 20-minute Aqua Medley, which is awesome. In fact, that's probably the way I prefer to listen to Aquarius anymore, is through this live Aqua Medley. And then for the album Visions, because they only play one song from Visions, they make sure it's the 22-minute title track Visions. So you've got a 20-minute Aqua Medley from the first album, you get the 22-minute title track from the second album, and then they cover The Mountain and Affinity very well on here. And then on the DVD one is this entire show, but just the visual performance of it. And then DVD 2 is Live at Prague Power from 2016, where they play other tracks that weren't part of this. So you get all these extra tracks that weren't part of this live set, like Falling Back to Earth, Earthrise, Periodolia, and the song Crystallized, the long song from here, and Mike Portnoy comes out at the end. And then you've got the videos for Initiate, Earthrise, and Lapse, and I don't think they played Lapse anywhere on any of these concerts, so you at least get the video for the song Lapse, which is one of my favorites. So this is very cool as well. So there you have it. You've got their 6 albums. We got the EP here from 2014, and then if you can, this concert off of the Affinity tour, which is when I saw them. So this set list looks eerily similar to the set list I saw. So that is HAKEN, a band that's put out their first album 10 years ago, and here they are 10 years later, and they just put out a heck of an album that's gonna, it's getting tougher to figure out what my favorite album of the year is, but I gotta think that this is in the top 5. I've been saying that about a lot of albums, probably more than 5 albums, so something's going to have to give. But this feels like a top 5 album of the year as well. So, but there you have it. That's ranking the albums by the band HAKEN. Great band. If you like if you like progressive metal that's a little bit unpredictable for sure, and they're always. I love buying new HAKEN albums because they always have surprises for you that you just haven't quite heard anywhere before. So, but there you have it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm sure I'll do another album ranking here shortly. But thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Thanks.